welcome back to Recorder on the Wall. I'm your host, Pete, and we're in Book 2 of the Sable Quean. With me today, Matthias.
Hello.
And also with me, Brayden.
What's happening?
In a world where runty weasels are threatening children and other redwallers and salamanders on hares, that's where we pick up. Now, if you haven't listened to our previous episode, because we're back at the books, and of course, because not I'm accusing Brian of being a formula writer, but let's just say we have formula villains. Because, let's kidnap some kids. That won't go poorly for us, and Redwallers won't be angered to send their warriors after us.
I mean, that's never how it happens, ever. Of course not, no.
I mean, the only way the villains could have made this worse here would have been to pick on the Salamandastron kids directly. The Bachelor, was it Lord Brain, I think?
Brang.
He would have basically pillaged all of Moss Hall until he found them and murdered them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, but yes, when we left off, we have a troop of players. We have a pair of Salamandastron hares who have been charged to bring a gift to Redwall Abbey and who have met said players. And our villains have apparently kidnapped kids from Redwall, from the Gossam, and we will learn that they may have, at least by proxy, related hares to Salamandastron. So yeah, let's piss off every major faction. Any otters in there while we're at it?
I mean, we have at least one otter, so...
Yeah. So, Chapter 10 begins, and the artwork, I actually had to do a double take here. Now, because I didn't think this could be it, like what I was seeing. Like, I'm sure there was some other explanation. Chapter 10's artwork shows us with a shrew with a lit torch, looking at a tree and tree branch with several Yezavit yet unknown creatures tied to it. They do look weasel-esque, but in my mind, when we've had encounters with the Flitcheye tribe in past, and we were quote told that they're runty weasels, I never imagined them any smaller than conventional, like basically the conventional size.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, this artwork is weird. It shows them maybe a quarter the size of a shrew, and shrews are traditionally the smallest single creature.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, too, they don't seem to have very much in the way of limbs, so they look like little furry weasel snakes.
Yeah. So this artwork's a little odd, but let's get into it. One thing was certain, the Flitcheye had never faced two battle-crazed Salamandastron hares before, is the first sentence we get. Now, I did run to the wiki to verify that was true, because, we've had two other encounters in Flitcheye, and oh no, they've never encountered Salamandastron hares in the other books that we've seen them. But if Redwall itself has been alive for more than 250 years, as we established back during Doomlight, I would willing to bet some Flitcheye have encountered some Salamandastron hares at some point. But in this case, not this particular tribe. We're told that the Flitcheye quickly are out of their league, and they basically get their butts kicked. Because it's not just the Salamandastron hares, it's the Gossam shrews.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's nuts. They get defeated in literally less than a page. Start of chapter 10, it's about half a page. You turn the page, go down about halfway, and they're already done.
Yeah.
Spare us, yeah.
And the wiki also points out that this is a different spelling of Flitcheye. It used to be the last three letters was AYE, not EYE. But so maybe these are the runts of the runts, respectively.
Possibly.
But yeah,
Different franchise.
so rather than genociding them like they were in a previous book, because that happened.
Mhm.
Basically, the bright idea we get and that the heroes get to basically restrain these guys so they don't follow or further threaten is use the Flitch-Eye's own herbs to basically stun them for the next day or two. And how they do this is basically what we saw in the art. They're tied to their respective trees, and the shrews pile their herbs together and light them en masse. Oh wow!
This takes aromatherapy to a whole new level.
So, question: is the Flitch-Eye the one who provides Salamandastron with the Salamandastrain? Because, dude,
I don't know how to respond to
man,
that.
they're gonna be hungry when they wake up. We're a serious case of the munchies. We're even told that the Flitch-Eye themselves are like trying to fight against their bonds because they don't want to be exposed to their own herbs and smoke.
Well, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. True. I mean, assuming these herbs are cannabis related, it's not like they can overdose, but it does leave them vulnerable to any other groups that might be out there for a day or two. So, fair enough.
Is it really that different? I mean, it is different, but same vibe as soldiers, when they go through training, having to actually experience what tear gas is like. It's like, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
So it teaches.
A friend of mine who's a police officer, and they not only do tear gas, but they had to be, unless they had medical reason not to be, they had to be hit by a taser to know what that felt like.
Right.
Ooh.
So, but yeah.
I mean,
So the Flitch-Eye
the Flitch-Eye have good training.
The Flitch-Eye are, dude, man, they're gonna be baked for a while. They're out of play is the important part.
And we never see them again.
Nope, because there's only one book after this. And they're not back in anything. So, dude, I don't know if they survived, but man. But yeah, they're out of play, and we're told that the group moves on as they head towards Redwall, and the Gotham produce a quote earthenware jar full of evil-smelling concoction, and it's termed in the most innovative and wonderful name possible, Shrigu. Really? That's the best name they can come up with. Okay, why not? It's Shrugu. And it's basically, I mean, how I read it was that they were smearing this like baseball players use that black paint to reduce sun glare.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically insect repellent, and it reeks.
Yeah.
And no wonder it repels things.
Only one person in the group refuses to use it, even though everyone is literally telling them, you're gonna need it. And no, it's not the child with them, baby Dub Dub. In retrospect, that name kind of locks him into the obvious career as DJ, doesn't it?
Oh,
it does, doesn't it?
Let me guess. He innovates and creates Dub Dub Step.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I am not original.
No, that's clear on this podcast. We never go if there is an obvious joke or pun, I know we're gonna go for it.
Yes, you willingly listen to us make these jokes. This is your fault.
Oh, then at least switch to another Redwall podcast, Matthias. Come on, Don't insult our listeners.
Oh no, it's
Viewers.
not an insult. It's a term of endearment. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So Diggs is the only one who doesn't do it, and predictably, exactly what the shrews tell him to happen happens. He is covered in stings from insects. Well, I sure hope he's not allergic to venom of any insect variety, then.
This would be a terrible time to find out, especially because they don't have
Right.
EpiPens.
Yeah. But there is a moment where he can't even speak because his mouth is so badly stung.
Yeah, they're trying to treat him, and he says, I'm all right, chaps. Leave me alone. It's like, yeah, you're not intelligible at all.
Dix is the one who complains all the time, right?
Yep.
Yep, no
Shuddering.
loss there. No.
It's almost a callback to when Scarab got his front teeth stuck in the plank, and well, lip splinters.
Yeah. So
That's a good name for a metal band.
So we're told that the Gaussum, like, yeah, we won't make Red Bull by tonight, but we'll make it pretty much first thing in the morning. And they're like, yeah. The shrews point out, like, yeah, we're going to Red Bull for help because we're allies. It's like, yes, you are. Ever since the original book, like, yeah. If one of the groups calls for aid, the other tends to respond. So, and that just leads us to the next chapter. So, with our artwork is an otter slightly bending over, looking down with concern at a shrew.
Yeah, the size difference is
palpable.
Yes. I mean, just like I'm trying to imagine what it would look like if the otter stood up and you could see both of them on level ground next to each other. I'm guessing the shrew would be just over the otter's knees.
Kind of what I gathered here is that she comes up to, like, her eye line is his chest. But he also has a massive neck, giraffe-level neck.
Mm-hmm.
So we start with our two slavers, the fox jailers, Thwip and Binta, who, quote, usually strike fear, but Petunia Rosebud, if you remember, aka Flip, is just like, what? You want to fight? Big whoop, I'll take you on.
I love how Brian keeps pointing out that Flib is a name she chose for herself and that her real name is Petunia Rosebud.
I don't blame her, honestly.
Yeah. I was actually talking with one of my coworkers in the past couple of weeks. Found out she names her houseplants like old-timey sounding names. Mildred, Ethel, Beatrice, Prudence, all that jazz.
Yeah.
So when I brought up about Flib's name and, you know, her real name being Petunia Rosebud, yeah, she agreed. That's a terrible name. So I got an impartial third party to agree. Yes, Petunia Rosebud, terrible name.
So Flip does not take any crap from our fox jailers and literally kicks the male fox in his face and knocks out 3 of his teeth. Well, gonna save some money on that dental plan. Or not.
What dental?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It's not the male fox, it's the vixen. And, you know, as a slaver tends to do, she says, okay, the whole group gets no food or water for 2 whole days. That might kill a child or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, the Sable Queen has more sense.
For being smart.
Yeah. And it's just like, no, we're going to feed her. Feed them. Sorry.
And these two are definitely digging that, you know, traditional proverbial hole for when are they going to die and how bad will it be?
Oh. Well, we'll find out in this book alone.
Oh yeah.
So. Oh, and there's Flib, who reunites with her younger siblings. Oh, hi. So, and Flib is not exactly the most diplomatic of people, because she immediately starts arguing with her siblings, like, "Why did you get captured? Why did you?"
You get a real sense that diplomacy is not her strong suit.
Yep. And the most level-headed of them all, Flandor, the young male otter, is just like, yeah, we're not going to just run a random escape attempt. We have to plan. Otherwise, how are toddlers going to do this?
Mm-hmm. It's like, I'll just read the line because it's great. It's like, right. We charge the vermin without a weapon twixt us, a pile of youngins, some who can just about toddle, and some with youngins to look after, like your sister. Have you got any more bright ideas, Shrew? Wow.
Probably the artwork we saw at the start of the chapter.
Mm-hmm. And she comes back with the oh so brilliant, no, River Dog, have you? And it's like, if you're going to suggest things, at least have a plan or like some kind of idea how to bring that to fruition. Just don't say, we should do this, and have no idea how to do it. It's not brilliant.
Clearly, Flandor is the voice of reason for the whole slaves. And it's not that he doesn't win out. He does. But, yeah.
He's a realist.
Yeah.
He's neither a pessimist nor an optimist. He's just like, this is how things are. We're going to need to do something. Let's use what we got.
And Flip's bright idea is to complain to the guards by getting everyone to shout, "Hey, we want victuals."
Surprisingly, it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Although, for all we know, dinner was already on its way.
Even though they were told no food.
But apparently, go ahead.
I guess now is as good a time as any to bring this up, because we'll hear from KD later. But I talked with her about like thoughts on Flib going back and forth, and kind of hashing out where each of us is coming from as far as her character goes. And don't know if KD will bring this up. She probably will, but I'll say it now. She likes Flib's strong fighting spirit and tenacity, and that it resonated with her, her relationship with her own sister. Kind of this back and forth sibling rivalry. I love you. I don't necessarily want to live in the same house as you, but I love you. Now, I can appreciate that from like an intellectual level, but I don't have siblings, so it doesn't resonate with me emotionally. So from my perspective, Flib basically comes across as very hostile, me versus the world. It's an attitude that's just alien to me. I don't get it. So I'm coming to respect her a little bit more, as we'll see as the book progresses. She'll actually get some character development, which I like. But at this point, it's very much like the reaction you get when you try to pet a cat backwards. If the cat loves you, they'll put up with it, but they won't like it. I like Redwall. I don't particularly care for Flib at this moment. I'll put up with her.
I mean, to add to Katie's point, I do have siblings, and I did live with my brother for 3 years as an adult. And I get it. You can really have a lot of familial love for someone, but you need your independence and space. Especially with siblings.
Totally.
Because when you
Yeah, I
grow up,
usually do a.
when you
Sorry,
grow up
what?
with them, they know how to push your buttons.
Mm-hmm. I usually do about a week visiting everybody, and I'm like, okay, we're going back to our separate lives now.
Yeah. So, which will be interesting to see how, because I have a relatively new nephew from my sister, who he's what, April? So he'll be 3 months short this month. So
Nice.
yeah. But for obvious reasons, she's not asking her brothers to babysit. We don't have experience with babies. Like little kids, we can do, but I don't think we're ready for that for level of baby work.
Well, at least you can start preparing all the Redwall books for him now.
Oh,
Totally.
absolutely, yes. But moving on. So
Oh, I'm petting the cat backwards. He doesn't seem to care.
it depends on the cat, clearly.
Yeah.
So I mean, some of them love belly rubs, others very much do not.
Yeah.
So one
Being
thing
obtuse.
we're told, and this is definitely a vermin failure. Like they really should have searched these kids before using them as slaves and putting them in jail cells. But apparently, more than one of them have kitchen tools of some kind or another.
What's that
And
very classic, villain underestimating everybody thing,
oh, absolutely,
especially now.
especially with kids, I get it.
Yeah.
And their bright idea is that they're going to use these respective kitchen tools to basically tunnel out. So,
It's of course tunnels. It's always tunnels.
yeah.
Well, they don't have eagles to come get them.
I get that reference.
I understood it too. So, but they don't have a picture. They don't have a pinup picture to hide the hole they're going to do it. It's actually in like the center of the floor.
Yeah,
Don't,
they don't
don't
have
they put a
posters of.
yeah?
Sorry,
They
continue.
don't put a. I think they put a rug over it. Is that right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the kids basically like, yeah, we're gonna dig it out and we'll spread the dirt around our cell so they don't notice what we're doing. The fact that we've dug up dirt here, and I'm like, okay. They're going to eventually notice because the floor is going to keep rising. But noted.
Yeah.
Maybe they're hoping they'll get out of there by then.
Well, it depends on how well lit the dungeon is, because if it's not very well lit, they could probably shuffle the dirt off into the side corners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it is very dingy.
So, but yes, their whole thing is they're gonna dig out. Yay! And cue the Great Escape theme. We go back to Redwall, and oh, sorry, is that right?
Yes.
We're back at Redwall with our first song from Witherspike, Aurora Witherspike, who, as I recall, is part of the troop.
Mhm.
They're heading towards Redwall. It's a nice song. We only get 3 songs in this book, and that's just weird. That's low. That is low for a late Redwall book. I'm not complaining. But
I was just about to ask.
Yeah.
not at all. But yes, they see the rooftops, and when you get closer, you can see the bell tower alongside it. So, I guess more evidence that the bell tower is apparently separate from the main building. It's still weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, we also get Crumfus, who's a hedgehog in the troop, and she's just like, I'm getting tired. You guys go ahead of me. And her son's like, nah, we'll just carry you in. And Griffith rides in style. She gets a full-on palanquin just to ride on.
Mm-hmm. And they put little baby Dub Dub on her lap to ride along with her.
Nice.
And he continues to be like the cutest, best thing in this entire book. I love him.
Oh yeah.
So yes, we finally get to the front Redwall gates, and Skipper sees the group down there, and it's like, "Oh hey, hi guys!" And we're told he backflips off the ramparts down to the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, can we assume he just parkours down so he doesn't break his ankles like it's Link in Ocarina of Time when you throw him off a high place?
Unless he's doing that 3-point superhero landing pose with like the one fist going back off into the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, squirrels actually do that.
Yeah. But, it's really hard on the knees.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we get our acting troupe and the Gosum meet up with Redwall Abbey, and they're like, "Oh, hey. Hi, guys. Oh, you're missing kids? So are we. But let's get some breakfast in, and then we can figure this out."
And Diggs is like, "Food? Did you say food?"
Well, we got a hares. Red alert! And you can hear the klaxons going off in the kitchens.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
But there is a line here that I just started laughing because the abbess is just like, "Yeah, so about this, apparently Martin the Warrior kind of told us what's going to come in, and I know that sounds really weird to you, and
Oh yeah.
it's like almost deadpan, like, used to bash your weirdness from the mountain."
Yeah.
Like,
Like you should see our family.
yeah, Badger Lords or ladies get really weird on their drug trips. A ghost speaking to you to help guide your abbey is not really that weird.
Right.
But yes, we continue, and they trade notes, and hey, yeah, we've got missing youngins. And oh yeah, we caught a vermin in the stoat yesterday. Oh, excuse me, we caught a singular vermin, a stoat, early yesterday, and he kind of mutually killed one of our people. That was kind of like, you read it like, oh yeah, that happened.
Yep. It's kind of a mood whiplash too, because it's like, "Oh yeah, great to see you all. Welcome, friends." And oh yeah, not only are we missing some of our kids, but we've had somebody die recently.
So, you want to get some breakfast?
Yeah. Right.
Do I?
So yeah, the Red Walrus also share what they know was Quorum and Althir. And again, although it is brought up later in the book what Quorum actually means, because I know everyone in my panel here, much less most of the listeners, probably already know. Just sitting here like, good Lord, how did you all not study in Abbey School?
I had the benefit of forgetting this.
Yeah, I have a gripe about this. I'll bring this up later, but suffice us to say, they are very irresponsible with their ancient writings, and that ticks me off.
I can hear the page in you already reacting.
Yes, I am holding it back.
Good. So we're told that the Red Walrus and the Gossam, the regular, they're going to go out looking for the kids. But they're going to leave the acting troupe behind, and you know what? This is tactically smart. I'm not saying the acting troupe can't defend themselves in a pinch, but they're not necessarily not trained fighters.
They have
Gossam,
more experience defending themselves than the peaceful abbey dwellers who've lived their entire lives behind stone walls.
yeah.
Sure.
But the Gossam Shrews who don't live behind stone walls and do have to defend actively defend themselves and train all of their people, male and female, to defend themselves, much less Skipper and any respective otters would certainly have that same kind of training. They're going to be better set to not only know where they're going in Mossflower Wood, but if they have to get into a fight, getting out of it much easier than a bunch of actors who don't know the lay of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Very smart. That brings us to chapter 12, and it's good to be the queen.
Yeah.
Our artwork is literally, our Sable Queen is sitting on cushions or something, and she is holding a wine goblet and just kind of lounging.
Yeah, doing like the Roman lounging lunch thing.
Yep. It's good to be the queen. So we get to it.
Revolting.
We start with our pair of foxes, who the male fox is just like, yeah, I'm smelling a slave revolt. And
Yep.
his wife's just like, they're kids.
The whip is not as dumb as he first appears.
No, it's not. And basically, yeah. Oh, and the people who are literally charged of keeping track of the slaves and keeping them healthy and browbeaten so they don't put up a fuss don't know how many slaves there are. One job, guys. One job. And you're
Well,
failing.
they can only count to one.
Oh, okay. So after the foxes leave, it's literally a scene out of like the Count of Monte Cristo or The Great Escape, and they literally open the shield covering the hole. Like, okay, they're gone. And the slave diggers come out and it's like, hey, oh, okay, well, we're kind of progressing. Helps that we have some moles. Yay. Oh, and Flib is still being still has a grudge against Flandor the Otter. Good lord.
Yeah.
He's kind of your ally. So,
Yeah, they're not good at that.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're
she's
kids.
not.
I will grant them that. But at the same time, yeah, you're carrying grudges on people you're trying to escape with. It's not like you have a Droop here who's actively working against you.
Priorities.
She's not good with the whole friends thing. She just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Well, for what it's worth, I've seen this in real life, where like a bunch of grad students I was in class with didn't get anything done for weeks because they hated each other. I'm like, I don't think you guys know the important stuff going on.
To be fair, when I was teaching high school, I literally had to explain to students at some point, like, especially like about like basically you do real. I was teaching seniors, and I looked up and I'm like, guys, have you learned nothing from high school? Unless I tell you otherwise, there is nothing keeping you from working together on assignments. If you want to survive college, you need to work together. And
Well, you're never a prophet in your own village.
You could just see the light bulbs go on. Like, oh God, he's right. Like, unless the teacher tells you you can't, there's no rules saying you can't. So by all means, you can work together, so long as you're not deliberately copying your work. And any Dibbins listening to this podcast, take this to heart. Unless a teacher tells you you can't work together, you absolutely can. Just don't carbon copy your work, because that's plagiarism and it's cheating. Go figure. So we go to our two Sables, Zwilt and the Queen. And Zwilt's been summoned, and the first thing they do, he's been summoned for dinner. not to be reprimanded or any bad news, just dinner. Okay. So unless the Queen's doing the James Bond school of villainy, which I wouldn't put it past her, it's just dinner.
And then they play the whole old, we don't actually trust each other, so poison is 100% a possibility, but we still need each other, so I won't poison you just yet bit.
They have the Queen's assistant Derva basically as a beef eater, aka food tester. And what do you know? It's not poisoned. Okay.
And she's cackling heartily the whole time, just like, I get to have some of the good stuff.
Yep. So the Queen's plan is like, we have sufficient numbers of Ravagers, but we're not going to fight a war with, because war is a fool's game. And you know, Brian, I would have put in here like, yeah, Redwall's tends to break armies that go to war against them here, but that would have gone against the whole Queen's ego and not studying up Roman history.
Mm-hmm.
Never get involved in a land war in Mossflower.
Yeah, something like that. So yes, she wants the Ravagers to make ready to go march tomorrow Norn. She wants them well armed. We're going to display power, and we're going to go to Redwall. And I want 3 prisoners to accompany us. I wonder what they'll do. So we flip over to the Redwall warrior group, which has Skipper and Buck. And they're like, oh no, there's someone moving out there. Let's catch him. And, oh, hi sister-in-law. How you bit? Oh, she's wounded.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear.
And then suddenly, Clarina Exposition Ex Machina.
Oh my god, yeah. Shows that she's been wounded, left shoulder in the back of her skull, and it looks like she's been out there for quite a while before she finally passed out. Yeah, we need her to take her back to Redwall for healing. So. And they make another stretcher. So. But yeah, they take her back, and Clarina starts providing, as Matthias pointed, exposition. Oh, by the way, your brother is dead, and our kids are kidnapped.
Nice to see you.
Hi, brother-in-law. I'm gonna sleep now. Yeah, apparently the Ravagers, Zwolt in particular, basically raided their farm. And I'm sitting here wondering, because we're told it's east of Redwall, where their farm was, and if we go all the way back to the Lung Patrol book, I know it was Camp Tussock. Man, I can't talk today. That was east of Redwall, but I think it was northeast.
Oh, yeah, it was in the north. Like very much more north than east.
Okay, so we can assume they weren't at Camp Tussock here.
No.
Which is a shame, because I'd actually like a book to return to that to see if it's still there. So, yeah, Buckler takes the news that his brother's been violently murdered, the family sword taken, and the medallion talked about in the first book is now in the hands of Vermin pretty well, like queuing them into it, because that's what this is going to become.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really bad situation, and Buckler straight up goes cold and makes a straight up vow that Zwolt, his Ravagers, and even the Sable Queen are going to die by his paw, and he will make sure his nieces and nephews are returned to their mother. Wow. He is exceedingly angry, but understandably so.
I was thinking there's a really good illustration here too of just how insulated Redwall is at this point, because they're like, we had no idea you were out there. It's like, well, we were talking about earlier, we have no idea there's a vermin encampment. We have no idea anything is out there anymore, apparently.
Yeah. So, you got a point. And we also find out that one of the said Ravagers has been captured by, of all people, Diggs. Huh.
Now,
Did he...
the circumstances behind this are actually pretty funny because as Buck takes his sister-in-law back to Redwall, Diggs sticks around with Logalog and the Shrews until Logalog comes back and there's no Diggs, and he's basically like, that friend of yours? Nah, I don't like him. And Buck's like, yeah, Diggs takes some getting used to. And then Diggs comes up and he's like, wow, look what I found.
Oh, you found a ferret. Huh. That's useful. And thankfully it's coincidentally is useful because this ferret is a Ravager, so they can interrogate him. Because if it had just been like a random ferret who just lived by himself, that would have been, as funny as that could have been for a humor setup, that would also have been not as good for the plot.
Yeah.
You could almost say Chunnering Chum causing contrived capture. Crazy.
Very nice. So we also get and I'm glad the Abbess picks up on the hint very quickly that they basically threatened to straight up torture this ferret. And it's a ruse just to get him to talk, because he's very much a coward, and I don't blame him. He's his point of view, he's inside of an enemy encampment, and he's not getting any rescue anytime soon.
Nope.
And
Things don't go well when that happens.
Even if he thinks Redwallers won't mistreat him, based on the reputation of the Abbey, he's facing the ghosts from Shrews and Salamandastron hares. Yeah. Probably doesn't know what to expect here. And the Abbess, I love our Abbess here. When she catches that, no, they're not actually going to torture him by a obvious wink, her attitude's just like, okay, just don't do it inside the Abbey, because, I don't want to clean up the stains.
Yeah. Which is
Throw him in the pit.
hilarious. I'm also getting a, because he gets the classic good cop, bad cop routine with Diggs playing bad cop, and is giving a very strong performance that reminds me heavily of Salmon-Astron and Arula's Maggoty Apples.
I was going to bring her up. Like, she would be proud.
Yes. Except instead of it being improvised implements of, okay, what are you going to do with those noodle implements? It's like, yeah, bring me like sharp things, pointy things.
Oh, and a boiling cauldron of water.
Yeah, all the things that make you go, ow.
Oh, the implication is clear. Yes.
I would not want to be tripped up. Yeah.
There will be sharp things, there will be hot things, and they will go to unpleasant places. And our vermin prisoner basically is just like, okay, so what can I tell you? He is clearly freaked out, and he's just not, okay, he's just like, okay, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Just don't hurt. No hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain point here in the story, he starts showing a little insolence, and that's when Skipper pulls out the even worse cop routine.
Yeah. And I find it interesting that whenever Redwall, treats their vermin prisoners with civility, almost always the vermin will mistake that hospitality or kindness for being soft and, try to, for lack of a better term, act macho and try to be like, yeah, I'm tough. You can't tell me what to do. And I think that such assumptions are key to the difference between vermin and woodlanders. We've talked a lot about Brian's dynamic of, is vermin's portrayal as always being evil a good thing, a bad thing? What are the implications? And I'm going to go to bat here in this moment to say, I think this attitude of just not being able to comprehend what goodwill is and actually just accept it at face value, except for a couple of key exceptions, is what makes vermin inherently vermin.
Yeah, I buy that.
I don't disagree. So our fair basically tells them that there are 2 encampments. And I have to question, I'm sure she has a reason that hasn't been described, but what is the point of the Queen doing that? Why is she separating her encampments here? The only thing I can think of is that the fact that they're kidnapping kids is that maybe she's trying to prevent any of her troops from getting soft and helping kids escape.
I think it's actually the other way around, that she doesn't want any of her horde to be captured and then tortured for information about where her base is so that they can be raided. She's insulating herself from the opportunity of having the kids rescued.
Which is prudent from a tactical point of view. But I'm not saying it's not prudent, but it's also some degree of inefficient.
Oh, absolutely. It's very inefficient, but at the same time, she's not going for efficiency here. She's going for what is going to give her the best chance of victory.
Yep. Absolutely. And then what we were mentioning earlier with the parents the people willing to torture, like, I know this is a ruse, and I actually could see the Gossam willing to do it, even especially Buck knowing that his niece and nephew are in threat here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could actually see certain parents be willing to torture their kids back.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. If Gripchen unfortunately spilled that, oh yeah, I helped capture these 2 young hares and killed the dad. I was with that group, that I'm willing to go out on a limb, 99% chance that Buck would be very, very quick to turn into bad cop.
Oh, absolutely. I
Mm.
mean, the only reason I think, if we go all the way back to Metameo, when the parents finally catch up with Slagar's leftover crew, who have, all turned and started to murder each other, the only reason Orlando didn't inflict in terrible pain, although it was implied he would if he needed to, is that it was pretty obvious they don't really have any more information they can share. But back to the book in question. So yeah, Chapter 13 has art of sharp and pointy thingies.
Oh, I do want to point out one thing on Chapter 12. That the recorder Granvey manages to intervene as Gripchen is being interrogated and lambasted from all sides, and he's basically like, if I take you over here where it's quiet, will you just let me ask you questions? You don't have to worry about them. If you answer truthfully, it's just you and me. And Gripchen's like, yes, please, get me away from them.
Yep.
So to put that
the very good cop at this point.
Yeah.
Yes, to put that another way, Granby gets Gripshan's gratitude, giving gathered good beasts glee. Glorious.
So chapter 13, sharp and pointy things.
Yes,
So-
lots and lots of sharp and pointy things.
So our kids continue working on their tunnel, but and they also basically threaten their guards, and it does not go very well.
No.
Like they're quickly basically beaten back into submission, but so they took because they this is where they're grabbing 3 of the kids to take with them to Redwall, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Valea, the Sable Queen's right hand, Derva, comes in and basically plays eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and grabs whatever 3 babes come up as Mo.
And into the potato sack.
Yep.
No, literally, they stuff them in sacks to carry with them. And on one end, that's not a great idea because you know,
You don't want to suffocate them?
there's that. That's basically where I was going with that. But it is a good idea because kids get tired. Kids don't like to walk everywhere. You know?
Yeah.
Kid might give your position away if they start crying loudly.
They don't have strollers.
Yeah, no. No, they don't.
I don't imagine a stroller would work well in Mossflower Woodlands.
No.
Unless it was like a stroller with tank treads.
Yeah.
That could be rolled over tree roots and whatnot.
Okay, now that actually sounds kind of amazing. I want to see that.
So yeah, while the other kids are basically reacting to this, Flip still is, angry.
And a bit prickly.
Yeah. So keep doing it, and the young otter Flandor, who already got knocked around in the first run, still yells and tries to threaten his jailers all over again.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the tunnel collapses.
Cave in, get out.
Yeah. There were 2 mole kids with Flib, and the general assumption from the other kids is that they're dead. And I can see why they would think that. And I'm sitting here, when I read through this originally, I'm like, it has been a while since Pearls of Lutra. Is Brian actually willing to kill another kid? Because that's kind of rare for him. Like, we see adult hero characters die all the time. It's pretty rare to see a child character die.
Yeah, I thought they got redshirted here.
I'll admit I knew they they were alive because I recalled vaguely that, oh no, they're okay because of, well, events we'll see here in a little bit. But there was the part of my brain that was like, no, Flib can't be dead. She's too stubborn to die.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind ran. And spoiler alert, she's okay. We're going to see her very shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I figured that kind of character at least had plot armor until it's, more dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't take a main character like, obvious child that still has, character growth and character arc to go through and just say, nope, you don't get to do that. This isn't George R.R. Martin.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Get up. But yeah. We go back to Redwall, where the alarm bells have gone off, and Warrior Party is like, oh, dang it. Because they didn't necessarily want the bells to sing out because that would have given an obvious trick to the vermin that they know they're there.
Yeah.
But the abbess is just like, that was my decision. And frankly, I don't think it's necessarily a bad one.
It's not a bad decision, but it's not a great decision either. It's just
No.
it is what it is.
And again, credit to the abbess here because she's basically like, yeah, that was my decision, but you're the warrior here. I'll defer to you where I have to, willingly.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah. So we're told that they reinforced the northwest and southwest corners with the Goslam tribe, and then they basically put everyone else on the ramparts in the remaining corners to basically show that these walls are defended, number one, but they're also reinforcing where they know the vermin are coming from. Just in case they decide, hey, we're just going to go ahead and attack now instead of parlaying. So, and Zwilt is, of course, the vermin arrive, and oh, hi, Ravagers.
Yeah, it's the old vermin intimidation by standing there trope. Well, at least, except the fact that Buckler's completely 100% wise to it, so it fails spectacularly.
So it's just like, I'm Ziltus Shea, commander of the Ravagers, and I'd like to speak to your leaders, gang. Okay, thanks. I want to see your manager.
And Buck's like, well, no, you're talking to me, and I'm not talking to you. You look like, you're not very smart. I'm going to talk to that other one who honestly doesn't look much smarter, but, I like the look of him better.
And the Volania, the Red Ball are in Buck in a pretty good tactical show. They learn they put together based on intelligence they got from their ferret, like, oh no, I will speak to Volania the Sable Queen who lives at Althir. And
they're like,
told them
how
about
do
this?
you know this?
Yeah.
So Volania's just like, look, I'm not here to play guessing games and exchange insults, you pooty head, but okay, she doesn't say that. But she's just like, so I'm sure you're wondering what became of your young ones. And the abbess is just like, you.
Let me at him.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
all the other parents are just like, you. At the same time.
Maybe placing distressed parents in front of their children's kidnappers is a bad idea. Just saying.
And the Redwallers really recognize it very quickly. Like, I know you're mad, but lead this to us, please. But yeah, Buck's just like, well, how do we know you have the youngins? Well, we know they're on a nature walk. Where's your proof? And there's the 3 potato sacks.
Yep.
Oh.
1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4.
Just 3, but noted. But yeah, they're like, hello, you have hostages? So have we. This is Grimton, right? He's one of yours, right? Yeah. If he hurt the kids, we'll kill him. Hey, where are those arrows coming from?
R.I.P. Gription.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ravagers kill one of their own, and he literally falls off. They basically, Railroaders just let him fall off the wall. Huh. Well,
you can see how much they, appreciate and value other creatures' lives.
Yeah, how does
Not.
Vermin H... Yeah, Vermin H... They don't have Vermin HR in this horde, do they?
No.
No.
No. No, not at all. And if
They're
Jeremy
ununionized.
were here, I'm sure he'd reference Beast Wars with, "Don't shoot, Megatron. I have a hostage." Well, so you do. Blast. So yeah.
I'm thinking that there must be, if there's Vermin HR, there must be an equivalent Vermin Pinkertons.
Ha.
Mm.
So yeah, basically Zwill and Melania are like, so we'll be back here before long. Don't try to follow us or discover where Althir lies. We'll threaten your young ones if you do. Okay?
Glad we had this chat.
And
Yeah.
Buckler pulls a skipper and jumps practically off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's kind of seeing red because he wants to kill the guy who killed his brother and took his niece and nephew. And he straight up said, he pulls basically straight up Inigo Montoya. Because you rotten, stinking, murdering coward, that sword you hold is my brother's blade. How did you kill him, Yellow Guts? By stabbing him in the back? There's Buckler, who immediately draws his sword. And Zwilt, should have realized that, I'm in danger. But
Yeah.
he doesn't, because he
Yeah.
proceeds to insult the late brother in question. Not a good move. Villani's just like, hey guys, could you not? Or, if you will, girls, you're both pretty, okay? We're not gonna have this fight, or I'm gonna kill the youngins, okay? Okay, fine.
Glad we had this talk.
Yeah.
And so, I'm gonna kill you. Yeah, I know you're gonna try. And they also have archers who take a couple of pot shots at Buck, who takes a couple of flesh wounds. So, they're also like, hey, can we get Buckler into the infirmary because, it could be poisoned weapons. Which is fair.
Mm.
Although one of them uses poisoned weapon. No, they weren't.
I mean, they didn't really know that. It was just a good guess.
Yeah. All right. So they go back in. Redwall starts tending to Buck's wounds, and the Avish is just like, you need to eat something, okay? I know that your neck and you have to treat your neck in football because you were stupid and ran out there alone. And even Logolog White's firm basically just points out that same thing. Oh, I see. You might have much sooner stood your ground and gotten shot full of arrows. That would have made you feel better, huh?
Well, yeah.
Buckler was like, yeah, it wasn't just that he was holding my dead brother's medallion and his sword. That was my nephew.
Oh.
But even the other mothers are just like, come on, dude. You're not the only one who's lost kids.
Yeah.
But they're my kids, so it's personal.
I wanted vengeance.
I want it now.
Don't care how I want it now.
Yep.
I
Or
want
it's my
the
vengeance, and I need it
I
now.
want the whole Zwilt.
So yeah, they go into dinner, and which basically gives our recorder. They're basically frustrated, like, the Warriors are frustrated because now what the heck are we gonna do? We can try to track them, but we're gonna have to do this carefully so they don't kill the kids. But track up to Granvey the Recorder because he puts together some pretty good information. He's just like, the demons probably aren't more than a day's march away from here, even if they're being carried in sacks. And the Althir could be basically a reworking of the word lair. Although I really didn't follow this logic.
Yeah.
It's if you take the lair and anagram it, it becomes Elthier.
Whoop-de-doo.
And I like that Granvey follows in the footsteps of the scholars who came before him, and he's able to he solves it, but then he becomes an incorrigible tease about the whole thing.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
very much in line with all the past, scholarly beasts that we've seen that are just like, I know something you don't.
Or like the kids in Pearls, when they had to be threatened to, hey, you figured out the riddle, you're going to tell us right now. No, we won't. We're going to send you to the infirmary. Okay, it's Beryl, for the love of God.
Yeah. Do you want to get physicked? That's how you get physicked.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sometimes, especially when there are kids on the line and you're dealing with a bunch of angry warriors, you need to be direct. And this goes into, I'm sure, what Matthias wants to talk to at length. No one remembers what quorum is. Now, I can forgive recorders, much less the General Abbey, for at large not remembering every abbot or abbess or event that has happened in their storied history. Like, I can see the regular rank and file Redwaller who goes through Abbey School. They might remember Matthias, but they probably don't remember Manameo or Martin II.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking your founding legend, quorum is a kind of a pretty big important part of that.
Let me put it this way. They dig up the original diary of Abbess Germain. The abbess remembers, oh yeah, this book. And I'll get into the survival of that book, the physicality of it later. But it's just like, okay, we are recording this on the 4th of July, 2022. This is equivalent to people somehow forgetting George Washington. It makes no sense.
Yeah, what Matthias said. Like, again, reiterating my point, if you want to say that the General Abbey Dweller doesn't know every abbot and abbess along the way, totally fine. But your founding legend's kind of important.
Yeah. It's like, you wouldn't forget Martin the Warrior. You cannot possibly forget Abbess Germain. What are you doing?
I mean, to be fair, we are talking about the same Redwallers who forgot where her tomb was. Even after they were reminded, hey, this is where Martin's tomb is. Should we do the smart thing and do an exhaustive search of the Abbey? Nah, we'll do it tomorrow.
Well, I mean, in that case, there's always another feast, so it's not like it's that big of a deal. It's just like after they're done and they've had another feast, and they're all, should we do it? No, let's just have another feast tomorrow.
God.
I think the priorities are right. But,
But yeah, we aren't even told like the actual solving that Granby the Recorder has put together in this chapter. We have to wait till the next chapter that happens. And this goes to Matthias' point of, okay, you don't need to be coy right now. But they are.
Of course.
So before we get into that big reveal, chapter 14 begins with a warrior mole, of all things. Now, we've had moles who fight in wars plenty of times in this series up to this point. But it's usually out of necessity or because they're part of the group doing the various quests or defense. This mole, it looks like he's freaking Thor in the artwork.
Like, literally, like, shirtless, ripped, carrying a giant hammer.
We're told he is Axel Sternclaw. He is the swole mole.
Perfect.
Sorry, not sorry on that.
That's pretty great.
So yes, he's Thor. He carries a warhammer, which he, quote, mainly uses for breaking stones when he's tumbling, but you know that this guy doesn't really have any issue defending himself. So he's led relatively solitary life, we're told, that he primarily works on his workings, and he really doesn't seek out main good guy camps.
Well, I
And
thought of
also-
this a little later, but he made me think of, Arnold from Commando.
Oh no. Come with me if you want to live. And yes, I know it's a different movie. But we're also told that vermin don't bother him. The few who tried never lived to tell the tale. Wow.
It's kind of like I've seen this trope pop up in various forms of media over the years. You've got the old retired warrior who just doesn't want to have anything to do with anything anymore and just wants to be left alone. But anybody who comes calling, steps where they shouldn't be stepping. Hey, that's my garden. Don't step on my petunias.
Or for
but
our
they quickly
anime,
find out. Go ahead.
I would say for our anime fans, he's basically Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z.
Ah, yes.
So it's just like, leave me alone. You do you. I don't care. And then suddenly, well, we'll see very soon here. Oh, you're kidnapping children? Okay, I have to do something about this.
So we're told that in this particular day, he's tunneling near a giant old oak, hoping to find cave beneath roots. And the tunnel, his own tunnel, doesn't collapse on top of him, it collapses below him. And he's just like, huh. He grabs a root to hang on, and then something else grabs him by the foot. She's like, oh, well, that doesn't happen every day. He grabs the foot, the Paul hold it, grabbing his own, and basically hoists it up. And oh, it's a mole maid holding a lantern.
You don't see that every day either.
No.
I love how nonchalant he is about the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's his domain,
Yeah.
Foxes aren't going to be good at this.
No, so he, and Gershon the mole maid's just like, yeah, we got collapsed in, and there's 2 others buried alongside me. Would you be so kind to dig them out? He's just like, okay. Doesn't even question it.
Given that moles are A, very practical, and B, he's unflappable, it's just like, yeah, no big deal.
And he's just like, and there's Flip, who gets tossed up into the tunnel, and he emerges with little Guffy clinging to his neck. Like, okay. And he listens to the 2 mole kids, and he thankfully revives Flip, who was still alive, but she had to basically had to get cough up some sludge and a few other ugly things. So, and he immediately gives him his own food from his own pack. Nice guy.
He's a really good guy.
Yep.
Tad antisocial, but good guy.
So they inform him what's going on, and he's just like, huh. Oh, well, that's happening, huh? Okay. Well, you've got vermin with little ones. Oh, I'm gonna have to do something about that. And now he is now gonna take on the Ravagers. So,
and
yeah.
You can tell he's starting to get like angry, so much so that Flip, who's normally rather, well, flippant, is basically like, I'm going to hold my tongue here and not say anything, because he's grinding his teeth and his arms are kind of flexing and he's got this crazy look in his eye.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if he had just been, her, hoi beezy blood wrath molar.
I don't think we've had a mole with blood wrath before.
Yeah.
Heck, we haven't had a mole. say we've never had a mole abbot, but see my previous rants on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have to say, if Buck doesn't get to Zwilt first, I would love to see Axel just smack him up.
Hammer meets sword.
Yeah.
The only reason, sword would even have it stand a chance is because, well, it's Salamandastron steel.
Yeah. I just kind of have this image of Zwilt, like, holding his sword in a ready position, and it's just immediately knocked out of his hand by the Warhammer. And then Axel just grabs him by the throat. And
or better yet, it's that classic Looney Tunes thing of it strikes the blade, and you see the vibration travel up the sword, up Zwilt's arm, and then starts to shake his whole body.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Meanwhile, the Zwilt, the Sable Queen, and their party are like, hey, there was a collapse inside the kitty cells. That's not good.
The minor collapse.
Yeah. And they're like,
No,
hey,
literally. Minor, as in MINER.
Well, and they were minors in there.
A minor collapse?
Yes.
I can't be mad at that one. It's too damn funny.
I can dig it.
Yeah.
Moving on.
That took me a sec.
Moving on. The Sable Queen's like, hey, what happened to the foxes that I sent here? Oh, they deserted. They what? What about the sentries that were with them? Oh, they're gone too.
Yeah.
Did they at least leave a forwarding address for their next career? No. Okay, someone go get them.
Gives whole new meaning to what does the fox say?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't, here's the thing: if you don't put in your 2 weeks with the Queen here, she's gonna take it personally.
Yeah.
I think she's going to take it personally, even if you do give 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my last job.
Yeah, I just switched jobs too, so that was fun.
Yeah.
But they continue to go on, and they're like, "Hey, do we know how many slaves there were?" No, no one has a count. No one has a count.
Mm-hmm.
For how methodical they are, yeah, that's kind of missing.
And Valea learns that maybe you shouldn't put all your jailers in one basket.
Even the Queen's just like, hey, she talks to the young ones, just like, anyone missing? And tactical sense, she's asking kids because maybe they'll just straight up tell her. And they're like, yeah, we got the 3 ones that are missing from the sacks. Oh, yeah. Yeah, here you go. Here's your kids back. Here's your friends back. And they just empty the sacks.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, they also mentioned, yeah, we're missing those 3. And this is where Valaya, the Queen's temperament breaks down. Tunnel? What tunnel? Tell me, I'll rip you apart. And
yeah, nice going, Queen. Threatening to kill your hostages because the noise they're making is disturbing you. Great plan.
Well, I mean, she also acting that maybe the kids are trying to escape, and she just can't have that. And this leads to Flander the Owl charging her. And
Owl?
she's not.
Yes, the owl.
Flander the Otter.
The Animorphs on his way over.
Flander the Otter charges her, and he's just like, "You're not gonna threaten the younger kids, you slimy boy. Let her go." And the guards pull him off after he smacks her up something but good with his rudder tail right into her eye. How? And she does not take this well, because no one ever takes anything well in this series. And
Of course
straight up
not.
stabs him with the poison dagger.
Yep.
So I guess Brian is killing a kid in this book. Yeah.
So instead of the deep forest, does he go to Flanders Field?
I understood that reference.
I kind of feel bad for that one.
Yeah, you should. But moving on. Yeah, Flander dies very quickly because, he's been poisoned. And, yeah. The kids don't take this well. Again, see my earlier point. And the guards have to keep the kids from basically running over and killing the queen. And Queen's just like, throw them in a cave where they can't dig their way out. Lock them in there and double the guard.
Yes, that'll do a lot of good.
Going back to Redwall, you have a bunch of angry parents. They're not exactly patient people right now. And the recorder doesn't take the hint. All in good time, sir. Being rude won't speed me up. Yeah. To the point that the abbess has to intervene, like she's saying, hey, dummy, you need to tell us right now. Oh, and look, Buck's sister-in-law is up.
And once again, Claritta's
yeah.
moving the plot forward. For somebody so integral to the plot, she doesn't feel very fleshed out beyond being a distraught and traumatized mother.
Yep.
I don't know if you just heard that firecracker go off in the background.
I did. So,
Okay.
I mean, we're recording this on the 4th. It's going to happen.
Yep.
So. They also mentioned that Clarence's like, you shouldn't be out of bed. We're going to take it back now, okay?
But my babies. Well, here, you can have this to drink and you'll feel much better. But my babies. Fine, I'll drink it, says Diggs.
Yeah.
He's like, no, Mr. Diggs, that's for her. She needs all her strength. Okay, I'll drink it now.
Hey, what does this bottle say? Sister May special? Yeah, but they are trying to sedate her, essentially.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's hysterical.
So, and yeah. Diggs just promised you, we will get your kids back. So we finally find out where the recorder's like, hey, I found the thing. Corin means Council of Resistance in Mossflower back before Redwall was a thing. And they were operating out of the base of Brockhall.
Oy.
I think I recognize that name.
You mean from the map that spoiled it at the start of this?
Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah. Oh, and remember, the Redwall Wars were back at Brockhall as recent. What book was the three snakes?
Triss.
Thank you. As recent as Triss. So it's been some generations, yes. But if those Redwallers had any sense, they would have written down a map to Brockhall, because that's still useful to know. But
they probably did, but it got lost when they broke up the library.
Yeah. No one knows where Brockhall is. Because, of course, they don't.
No.
Because the plot demands it.
Pretty much. It's not even that far.
No, it's not.
And after Triss, they were gonna mount a full investigation or something, because Melvin and Criculus were like, "Yeah, we want this to be our legacy. We're gonna find Brockhall," and then, oh no, scary Hydra snakes.
Yeah. You know what would have actually been a good lore reference here? was maybe another Redwaller who does remember something of this and makes a guess that, oh, is this Saint Ninian's?
Oh no,
Uh,
that would have been hilarious.
Well, no, just like, hey, could this be Saint Ninian's? And then our recorder would have been like, no, that's a good guess, but then they go into Brock Hall.
Yeah.
So yeah, they already know. Okay, it's probably Brock Hall where they are. It's no more than a day away. But we don't know where Brock Hall is. So, okay, fine. We're gonna have to find Brock Hall, but we can't. They basically like, hey, we're gonna need a small party here because it wouldn't be a readable book if we didn't have a small team that goes out, not necessarily with permission to do the thing. And that basically wraps up with chapter 15, is that we have our small team. It's just like, okay, we're going to go out and find the kids and whatnot. Diggs is staying to organize the defense of the Abbey, which is tactically smart. He's not, he's a Salamander Strong trained hare, and if the series has shown us anything, when they're at Redwall to help organize defense, they know they've got a better military sense of what to do than necessarily the Redwallers themselves.
oh, totally.
Chat leads us into chapter 15. And our artwork is a shrew literally tying up a spear with two smaller shrew babes in the back.
Actually, no, that's two moles.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, so a shrew.
Because we literally open on Axel and Flib and the moles.
Right.
Yep. So that's Flib working on a spear while the two mole babes are sleeping.
Yes.
And Flib is basically like, yeah, I can't sleep, so.
Well, I got a job for you.
Yep.
Well, if you can't sleep, you can stay awake and stand guard.
Yeah.
Here,
Guard.
have this dagger that I took off of Vermin. Use it in this pole and make a spear. Okay.
Yep. Do I know how to do
So-
that? Well, the story says you do.
Well, I appreciate the moment as sort of a character thing where he's not like, well, let me read you a story. It's, I've got stuff to do. Join me. You've got stuff to do too now.
I'm glad to see that Axel is acknowledging Flib as being very spirited. I'm not sorry.
I am.
I agree, Brayden. So yeah, we continue on and we go back to the villain lair. So. And we go back to our slaves, actually, inside the villain lair. And they're
Right.
like, hey, we're getting better food. Man, we should have chased off those foxes a while ago.
Yeah.
And we see that Flib's sister, Mida, basically is like, well, what would Flib do if she was here? And then goes ahead and just makes herself an absolute nuisance to the gardens, basically like, well, what would you do if, we did this, huh? Can't do anything. You're supposed to keep us alive, huh?
Yeah.
So even in Flib's absence, she's still having an antagonistic role against the jailers and keeping them on edge, and I love it. So I will give her points for that.
Absolutely. And as we see, the kids really love their vengeance because they're like, yeah, we're going to rough up the guards. Yeah, I'm sure you are.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, speaking of kids and vengeance, let's get to this next section. So, Axel goes basically back to where they were, and he's investigating. and he encounters a weasel, and that weasel does not last very long.
Yeah.
His infiltration goes quite well. I don't think Adam Jensen could have done any better.
It's literally
My mate never asked for this, Bruno.
It's literally a case of the mole basically straight up gags him and it's like, "Where are you keeping the kids? Point me in the right direction." And the Ravager does, and he's like, "Thanks." Stab. Or smack, rather, because Warhammer.
Yeah.
So yeah, Axel continues basically a rampage here. He starts going after other guards and another rat. Well, unfortunately, he does take a wound from said rat, Gilfus. And there was one guard left. He's like, "Hey, the prisoners are escaping." And he's trying to get the kids out, even though he's got a spear in his foot. Man, this guy's...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's nothing if not tough.
Yeah. He's got some brass ones. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So yeah. And he even has his own war cry. So I love it. I love it. And the vermin, like, after hearing the war cry, they all kind of look at each other and they're like, "I'm not doing this. Are you doing this?" "No." And
I want my mommy.
they bravely run away. But yeah, it's not like they all run away because, well, the Queen's just like, "Hey, go kill them, please." She orders them down, and they keep going this escape, and yeah. Does he get all the slaves out?
I believe so.
I think so,
Unless
yeah.
I missed something.
Yeah, he gets basically all of them out into his own tunnel system where the vermin can't follow. They get basically back to their encampment, and he's just like, "Smoke if you got him."
Yeah.
He's not dead, thankfully. He barely, yeah. He's
Yeah, I was like, they wouldn't have killed him now.
oh God, no.
That would be stupid.
Yep. He just eats pain.
Yeah.
Especially what we see later.
Yeah.
Chapter 16 begins with, I assume, Redwall? The artwork, anyway?
Yeah, I am. I think that's Abbas Marjoram. I could be wrong.
Could be. We're basically shown someone in a hooded habit, so presumably a Redwaller of some kind, holding a bowl next to and then there's a cauldron with what is clearly some sort of stone wall over, and that cauldron's over a fire, because we see steam from it. So, presumably Redwall. So, Flib herself we begin with Flib looking over the camp, and she is, the lack of sleep and probably slight wounding of her own is starting to get to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's night, but
It's been a long week.
yeah, she's had a few days here.
She's had a long month this week.
Yeah.
Flib sings, not too loud, just to keep herself sane and comforted. So, and fortunately, that draws the attention of our two former Fox slavers, who, honestly, after everything they've been through, I'm surprised they even care at this point.
I think they're just bitter enough to care on the, hey, you made things really terrible for me. I'm going to do terrible things back out of spite and revenge.
Yep. And Whip, the male fox, has a whip, and he's cracking it right in front of her face. And yeah, this lasts less than 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Remember, Flip herself has probably got straight up blood rat, because we're told the Gosling maid was instantly filled with a red rage against herself for napping
Specifically
on guard.
red.
Yeah, specifically
Yeah.
red. Again, for napping while on guard and deep hatred for her former tormentors. And she straight up stabs the lunges with the spear at the male fox Thwip.
Yeah.
Again, I've mentioned this on show before, but when you buy Kindle books versions of this, the community can highlight important things or funny things or thing. And the community in this case highlighted there was a note of complaint in his last words. She's killed me.
Yeah. I love it. Brian has used that a couple of times, and it's just like, oh, you killed me, and then they just kind of peel over, and it's like there's that absolutely wonderful British humor that has this amazing irony and understatement.
It's very Monty Python-esque of
Yes.
message for you, sir.
Too perilous.
Yes. And even the wiki noticed this because I looked up some characters for this when I do my notes and whatnot. For a vermin couple, these two actually kind of have some affection here. Or at least Vincent towards Thwip, because she is genuinely mournful and upset that her husband just got murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've seen that a few times from vermin couples. Certainly not Silvermord and the Foxwolf, but I do remember one of the last times we had Flitch-Eye. Yeah, a wife of a husband-wife duo was mad when her husband was getting beaten up. But literally, Binta's just literally she gives an what we're told angry sobbing wail, and she says, "You slain my Thwip. I'll flog you to death for that." So, because she's got a cane she's working with, and Flib, while this is going on, manages to get a hold of the now dead Thwip's whip, and then whips the vixen right in the face. And
That's gotta hurt.
Yeah. Binta runs off into the night wailing, and we never see her again. There's no grand vengeance plan. There's no irony as she runs right back into her former bosses. She is gone from the book after this point. So, yeah.
I mean, she served her purpose here. We're good.
Yeah. And she's had a couple of days herself. Deserted the army she was serving, and now is lost her husband. So, yeah. Yeah, she might want to just take off. So, and
well, at least she doesn't go in with the sunk cost fallacy, just like, I have to get all the revenge. It's basically like, nope, I don't have any other cards to play. I know when to fold them. I'm out.
Yep. Flib, and we're told that Flib basically goes into shock from this because she took some pain from beating, and they're realizing that, oops, she kind of killed someone.
First time, and I'm really glad that Brian did this because we don't see enough from older literature, more so now, but from older literature from like at least 10, 15, 20 years ago, acknowledging pieces of mental health. And even without spelling it out directly, you know that Flib is experiencing a lot, both mentally and emotionally, and she completely withdraws within herself. And I think that's a good piece of character development.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, the younger kids wake up and they realize that something's gone wrong, but they don't know necessarily exactly. So, and we also get we're told that Guff's told, like, hey, can you build up the fire? And, quote, this was an absolute joy to Guffy, who is dim and had been prohibited by Redwall's elders from ever playing with fire.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I mean, that's basically like every kid being told, hey, you want to get behind the wheel of a car? I don't care if you can't reach the gas pedals. I'll control the gas pedals for you. You get to steer.
So we continue on with the kids just basically dealing with... So it's basically the kids just camping because the one supervising adult they have is kind of just recovering from all the action he just put himself through.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't even know that everyone else has escaped yet because they're still in separate areas.
Yeah. So
then we get introduced. We get introduced to Mumsy. Mumsy is a very kind and sweet, of all creatures, a vole. Let's see. Back in Triss, there was that old hermit otter lady who was basically like, yeah, don't run away, kids. Here, let me sing you a sad song about, things you shouldn't do to your mother. Very much, Mumsy reminds me of this kind of character of just not necessarily a mother in her own right, but somebody who can be a mother figure for the kids that don't currently have their parents nearby.
I mean, it's the Red Bull franchise. That's going to happen. So.
Yeah, I mean, orphans. Come on.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't gotten more.
Yeah. So we go back after Mumsy is basically corralling these kids. That and she also tells the younger kids, like, hey, Flip's gonna be okay, but don't mention the fact that she killed the fox again to her, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we go back to Zwilt the Shade, who's just like who run right into Mumsy and Fit, no less.
Mm-hmm.
So, and basically Zwilt is tracking what he finds, and they don't find the kids, but they do find the fox. Right?
Yep, they find Thwip's corpse and he's basically like, okay, now what?
And Flip is even... Mumsy does gently like, hey, you have remembered what you did with that fox. And Flip's just like, look, I had to kill him. It was him or us.
Mm-hmm.
And Mumsy's just like, wow, you're kind of a awesome kid. She's just like, yeah, I'm awesome. We have to do that. It's just kind of our lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We get back to the hero group trying to find the kids. And Sniffy. God. How did you get that name in the Gossip Buddy?
Yeah, it's a bit on the nose.
Ah!
Okay, I'm gonna make a really old reference here, but anyone else getting like Jimmy Durante vibes? Like large schnoz?
I
don't know who that is, unfortunately.
Do I? I feel like I should.
I guess I grew up with way too many really old references.
That's okay. Suffice to say, I kind of get what you're getting at that. So, though.
Totally.
So, they the Gossams have basically tracked. They have sets of tracks. There's two vermin, weasel and a stoat, running alongside two foxes. So the two guards who have since deserted, and said foxes. And he also knows that one of them is a vixen. They split in different directions. The other vermin heading northeast, and the foxes traveling more southerly. Question: how does he know the difference between a vixen and a rainyard tracking? Unless there's sexual dimorphism in between foxes, and I don't think there really is. How does he know?
Perhaps depth of paw prints.
That's fair.
Sure, why not?
So, and they were like, no sign of the Sable. Nope, just the weasel, stoat, and foxes. And they even do the Redwall version of tossing a coin. Buckler pulls a stone out of the ground, and they basically toss in the air, and it's basically wet or dry, so heads or tails.
Mm-hmm.
The Django the Log gets it, and basically they agree that, okay, Skipper's like, Buck and I will trail the foxes, and the rest of you go after the other vermin. But take Sniffy with you.
A great line.
Yep. So, and there's Axel, who has, good morning. Why does my foot hurt? Oh, there's a spearhead in it. Well, I'm just gonna bite down on my warhammer and take that out. The dude eats pain.
Yep.
He's the sort of person who's like, pain is just weakness leaving the body.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, why is it so much weakness? But he also
Baby Tass.
Sorry, go ahead.
Baby Tassie to the rescue is just like, I've worked with the sister in the infirmary, and she goes off. Not only manages to get the correct herbs, but manages to properly dress his wound, clean and dress it. And it's just like,
Yeah.
she says it herself, but mark my words, she's going to be the next infirmary sister.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So actually, she's like, oh, okay. Well, thank you for doing that. Now what? I admit I read this chapter at blitz speed to get ready for this, so help me out here, guys.
Then Buckler and Skipper and Sniffy show up, and it's like, oh, hey, it's some of the kids.
Yep.
Let's trade notes.
Well, I found them trying to tunnel out, and then when I went and picked on their camp and smacked a few of them up and got more kids. You're welcome.
Yep. It wasn't even that hard.
Yep. Oh, and over there, and they're like, hey, we found a fox carcass?
What does the fox say? Nothing.
Nothing. And they're like, hey, we're looking for fresh tracks. Hang on a second. And Axel's just like, oh, I know this spear because the shoemaid I helped rescue made it. Dang, that kid's awesome.
Yeah.
And he mentions, hey, so Flib was with 2 mole babes, so. And he points out Vixen didn't take the mole babes, some other beast did. Whether it was friend or foe beast, I don't know. Thick tail, long frizzy prits, big hairy paws, probably. Did we mention what Mumsy was?
Yeah, a vole.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, and they're just like, all right, well, let's go track him down and, go rescue him. So, okay. And meanwhile, Mumsy's just like, well, we gotta lay a false track. We don't want to be followed. But they're unaware they're being watched by evil eyes. And that ends
Dun
book
dun
2.
dun.
That ends book 2.
Yep.
So, kind of like other books we've had in the past, this is just their actions happened, some very notable ones, but the story itself hasn't only moved so far.
Yeah.
So it's still interesting and good in its own right. Although I know all of us were commenting like, for the sake of the story, Redwallers had to forget where freaking Brockhall was. Okay. It's still good as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's moved. It still feels some paint by the numbers, which I'm noticing a little more now that I'm reading. Actually more of this book, but not as badly as I'd expected necessarily. Because the introduction of Axel and stuff like that, I was a big fan of.
Yep. Swole Mold definitely made things better.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. I'll say this: I think the community and fandom can be a little bit hyperbolic as far as the formula goes. It's one of those things that when you look back and you're thinking about all of the books as a whole, yeah, it seems very formulaic, and I think people tend to exaggerate a little bit based on how it emotionally feels. But when you're actually looking at the material in a critical way, you're using a literary magnifying glass, it doesn't come across nearly that bad. It's the story beats might have a similar tone to them, but they're still very much their own thing.
But you're saying a fandom can be reactionary and hyperbolic?
What? No.
No.
To be fair, what I've seen of the Red Wolf fandom since starting this podcast, much less me being 13, 14, and on the early days of the internet, Red Wolf fandom's pretty chill.
Oh yeah.
Compared to some fandoms out there.
God.
We mostly care about food.
Yep. Yeah, some of those other fandoms out there, like Star Trek, is generally okay.
Star Wars.
I was getting there. Yeah. Star Wars? Oh my god.
No one hates Star Wars like a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. I like Star Wars as much as the next guy, and I happily watch the Mandalorian series, Book of Boba Fett, and the new Obi-Wan. And you know what? I take it as it comes.
Yep.
So, now, come the Netflix series, whenever this comes out, if it ends up being like a completely terrible and we're all like sitting here dumbstruck, I'm still going to be as complimentary as I can while trying to address it.
Sure.
But I also not going to rail on the actors or I would on the writing staff, but let's get back to it. But I'm not going to be that guy if it comes to the Netflix series being terrible. But I don't think it's gonna be. Netflix does have some hit or misses, to be certain. But for this kind of stuff, they've hit more than they've missed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And as far as this book goes, I feel like there were more pages here than were necessary. This was around 100 pages of content, but it really felt like this could have been covered in 70 or 80 pages. There were a couple chapters that were 15 pages long, and it's like, this is starting to drag out a little bit. Oh, can we please get back to one of the other storylines? Not like any of the stories were particularly bad, but it's like we're hanging too long. It's like when you have a movie that just holds on a character for a couple seconds too long and it starts to get a little awkward, like that. So
Yeah.
it's not like it was terrible, but it made it really hard for me to come up with notes because I just didn't feel like there was as much to latch onto.
Yeah, I remember thinking paragraphs at a time felt long or unnecessary.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do we actually have a narrative reason of why this was 4 books as opposed to 3? Other than just...
I don't know.
Maybe, let's revisit that when we finish this book.
Sure.
Because we can probably debate if, hey,
if the fourth
Was-
book was warranted.
Instead of a regular 3 divisions.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
But overall, I very much enjoyed the direction that the story went, and I very much liked the interactions when the vermin come up and are like, "Hey, we want to parlay," and it's like, "No, we aren't going to play by your rules. You're going to play by our rules."
Mhm.
I'd say that and Axel just going ham on the vermin are the two best scenes in the entire book.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. I agree with that. So, that being said, you can find us at recorderonthewall.com. Our primary email is rotwpod@gmail.com. And we actually got an email that I need to respond to after we're done finished recording here. It's not a review, but it might as well be. A very nice gentleman named Ethan was very complimentary to us in a very nice email.
Oh, nice.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. But speaking of reviews, we're on Google Play Podcast and Apple Podcasts. We don't have any new reviews yet, Apple Play, or new just star ratings. Although we would certainly like some if someone wants to give us some. Just saying. You can find us also on occasion the Redwall subreddit, Eulalia, much less Twitter at ROTWPOD. And when I can remember the Redwall forums, there too.
Our email is also rotwpod@gmail.com. Oh, and we're on Spotify.
Yes.
If you're
We're
on
getting
Spotify.
it. I think we got them all.
We need a Tumblr.
No.
What is
No.
this? 2013?
It's not even that. I have literally watched other media producers just get eaten alive on
I'm
Tumblr
sure.
if they make a controversial joke or a statement someone doesn't like, and it's just a mass feeding frenzy.
No.
And
It's like Twitter, but with more words.
Oh, fun.
so, all right. So that being said, I'm Pete, your Papa Abbott.
I'm Matthias, the disgruntled library page.
And I'm Braden.
And we'll see you next time, folks. We're told right thing that these Flitchi, or the Flitchi, have never faced two. Put my phone on silent.
Take
Try
two.
that again. Take 2. That'll be an outro outtake.
Yeah.
Take 2. Where was someone lead me because I lost my train of thought here.
Furry little weasels.
Yeah. Because even Vellani's just like, guys, stop. Okay? You can have your measuring contest later. But if you're going to put your blades up or the young ones die. Okay, should I drop that joke because that was a little PG-13?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you didn't specifically say dick measuring, but you know.
No, I didn't. We'll leave it outro.
Mm.
Another one. Let's try that again. So,
Sorry,
from the top.
Never mind. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. So, yeah.